Hey, welcome back to Dollar Reviews. Once again, it's Brian Gillis, and I'm here with my friend Steve.
Hello, everybody.
So just to give you some background, just so you don't think we're just talking to you,
But
we,
we are talking to them.
well, this is true. We've been film fans our whole lives. Went to Long Beach State, that's where we met one another. I got my degree in editing. Steve, I believe, in sound editing. And so we're going to keep trying to learn things, but we also want to teach you a thing or two if we can. Today we're going to talk about the latest release, Entourage.
Did you watch the show?
Oh yeah, big time. Listen, I
Yeah?
watched it during its initial release. So was that 2005?
So you followed through till the end?
Yeah, I was lucky. It was actually really weird because if you've seen the pilot, I don't know if you've seen the pilot episode, but it just jumps right into things. And so I saw the first episode the night it aired, and I had no clue what it was. I was actually at someone's house, and I was like, "Oh, I've missed something." Like they're just talking about these things. And I was like, he's a pizza boy. He just came from New York. Well, what happened before he was here?" And I didn't know that I started in at the ground floor, but I guess I did. What about you?
No, I didn't get to see the pilot. I guess I'd say I'm a casual viewer of the show. I never really just seeked it out and watched it. The only reason I watched it is because back in college, it would be on in the background. I would have roommates watching it while I'm writing papers and such, and so I would always just pay attention or listen to it. It would just be background noise. But I really started getting into it and watching it more. I think it was season 4, around where they were shooting Medellin,
That's a good one.
which yeah, I mean that was some of the funniest stuff.
Yeah,
And
Medellin, yeah.
the last episode I
Medellin.
saw was, I think it's the opening of season 5, where you see what happens after the opening of Medellin.
Oh yeah, the episode after Cannes.
Yeah, and I don't think I've seen anything beyond that until the movie now.
I mean, you didn't miss much. Every episode has, its arc. It's usually around one film or another. And in the case of Medellin, it's spread out across kind of like three. It's known as a bromance show. It kind of helped that term become a thing. It's about
It's Sex in the City, but with dudes.
exactly, it's
In LA instead of New York.
HBO show instead of fashion. It's about movies, and it does have that male bonding thing going on for you. But the reason I watch it, and we're obviously film fans, film geeks, it does a really good job of kind of showing you how Hollywood works. And I like to think it's exactly how it is on the screen, and it obviously isn't. But even people in the industry, they view it that same way. Like people that are insiders, they love it because it's so true to self. Apparently, when the show first aired, it was actually so accurate that some people in the industry thought it was a reality show. I mean, obviously the actors, like Adrian Grenier, like he's not nearly as famous as Vinny Chase is, even in the beginning of the show. But it became a thing. It wasn't about, being in Variety or the Hollywood Reporter or whatever. It was about getting a cameo or just a mention on Entourage. Like that was the new thing. And in this film, there's more than enough of that.
What did you think of the movie?
I liked it. I thought it was very true to self. It was very much just a condensed season of the show, like a season 8.5, if you will. And it really played that card really well. It's only like 104 minutes, I believe, and it doesn't stray away from the fact that it's short. It runs through things fairly quickly, but it wants you to know that it's still the show. From the beginning, when it opens with the same theme song and an expanded opening credit sequence, which was awesome, one of the best ones I've seen in a long time, all the way to the end when it sets up hopefully more hijinks. What about yourself?
No, I did. As someone who just casually watched the episodes, I pretty much enjoyed the movie on the same level. As a movie, I'm not entirely sure if it really works for an audience that's not at least familiar with the show.
Yeah,
Especially
and they,
with
they try to make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, though
That Pierce Morgan thing.
yeah, which is
I didn't really like it. It was a lot of screen time. It was like probably like 7 minutes or so.
I was just laughing at the fact that they were sitting outside watching TV.
Yeah,
It was just perfect. Fucking rich
We're
people.
watching these people watch interviews about themselves in a movie based on a TV show. I mean, this is a show, it's about product placement. Not just product placement, but people placement as well. And speaking of product placement, I don't know if you're familiar or aware of this, but their their long history of it on the show, most notably Avion, which is an actual tequila. I had 2 shots of it last night before my screening, so maybe that's why I'm a little nicer on it than I should be. But Doug Ellen, the creator, writer, and director of this film, he a friend of his actually came to him with the tequila, and he said, "Oh, blah blah blah," and he put it on his show, and they make it into a storyline. It's almost all of season 7, just the beginning of the 8th season. So that's a good example, but taking place between the end of the show and the movie, which is a very short time span. It's probably like a week, I believe. They had 2 shorts, both product placements. You got Johnny Drama in a Johnny Walker ad, and then you also have Ari in Italy, and it's a Cadillac ad. And it's the same Cadillac that's featured in the film. Gorgeous looking car. When I see one on the streets, I'm sure I'll be amazed. But yeah, HBO kind of went the extra mile to try to make this world not stay true to itself, but they just wanted, I believe, for the audience to stay connected, and maybe that's through products and marketing. But as a fan myself, I just rewatched the whole series in, I don't know, a month and a half or so. I enjoyed these little things, and that's why I think your perspective is interesting, because you appreciate the show, you like it, but you weren't as connected, and you didn't watch as much as I did.
I do. Based on my memory of the show, though, I do think it has a very similar look and feel.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's much more condensed to fit the restrictions, I guess, that are not the same for TV. It's different for movies. It's structured in a different way, even though it feels very much the same. I think
it has a very similar structure.
Even the look specifically looks very much the same. But I don't know because we're in a digital age. They could have just shot with the Alexa and added in some grain, but I
don't think so.
I looked at it and
yeah,
I was like, I was honestly convinced, this might actually be shot on film.
Pretty sure it was shot on film, because I stayed for the whole credits hoping that something would happen, and there is something for you out there that happens at the very beginning of the credits, kind of like Marvel did with Age of Ultron. But yeah, at the end it said, I saw digital intermediate by, it said Kodak, it said Photochem, okay. So I'm pretty sure this was shot on film.
Okay, well that's interesting, especially since that's getting more rare and rare nowadays.
Yeah.
So I guess based on that, it still has the same look and the same feel. So basically it's more just a longer episode of the show rather than being much of a movie, I guess, and that's... What? But I pretty much enjoyed it just the same way as I'd always enjoyed the show. I watch it, I'm entertained. Although mainly the stuff that I always forget, it's the stuff with the guys, and especially here, I don't think that their stories are really that interesting. The thing with Ian Sloan, it's Ross and Rachel all over again. It's kind of,
yeah, it's real condensed.
It's just it's whatever. A drama. I don't think it's really, it didn't really feel like new territory, but I got quite a few chuckles there.
I mean, at least his was better than Turtles. Turtles was really weird. It was like they kind of tacked him on the show and onto the movie. I mean, it's probably because Jerry Ferrara is the biggest star. Well, besides Jeremy Piven, he's the biggest star. He's in like Think Like a Man and that sequel, and I believe he was in something else. Was it About Last Night maybe, and several other things. Like he's getting these gigs now, and so maybe it had something to do with that. I'm not sure. But yeah, his felt the most tacked on. But I think it was just a fault for just the fact that this is the same length as 4 episodes. If you were to binge this show, if you watch 4 episodes, that's the length of the movie. And so with that same amount of screen time, they really only incorporate that much story. And they kind of cut corners here and there to make it closer to an 8-episode arc. But they do a fairly good job. I think it's a really fun movie.
Turtle story, I guess, it was forced in, I guess. But I did find it one of the more interesting ones that were going on. Vince doesn't really do anything.
He never did anything on the show either.
Not really in the movie, no. I mean, just, he's making a movie and that's it. The only reason really, or the only thing I'm going to remember from this movie is the same thing I remember from the show, and that's Ari.
Because he's a breakout kid. He won 3 Golden Globes in a row.
No, but I mean, yeah, just for the movie, as far as just a story or just any type of plot that's interesting, it's really just about
Yeah.
Ari trying to get financing for this movie to get
He
finished.
he the movie's about him definitely, and you can tell.
Yeah, and that's really where all the comedy comes from. Everything
Yeah.
else is just kind of, I guess it's you have to have these characters because they're in the show.
Yeah.
I don't know if for a feature film format, I guess that their drama is just not that interesting.
Maybe. I think it has more to do with the balancing act doesn't work because what I found most interesting about the show was the films being made, and that's not what this film is about. It jumps all the way to post-production. I would have loved to have seen on-set stuff, maybe like when the script got options, whatever. I would like to see what happened between Vince saying, "I want to do this next movie and I want to direct it," and when he's already screening it. I want to see that. And I guess that wouldn't be as interesting in
Well, I
theaters
guess
or
we've
something,
also
but
kind of, I mean, based on what I remember from the show, we've kind of already gotten that.
yeah.
I mean, I remember we saw the production of Medellin, but for Aquaman, that pretty much it was the same thing, right? The season just ended with, "Hey, do you want to do the movie?" And then they just jumped to, "Oh, the
No,
movie's
no,
released." No,
Aquaman. No, Aquaman. It was
they
actually
actually showed.
about half a season. Yeah, where like
No, they
he's
actually showed
in
him on
on the
set and
blue screen
everything.
with Mandy Moore. Yeah, he's like on the blue screen with Mandy Moore, and James Cameron's like in a booth directing them, and he has to learn how to use he has to go scuba diving, and he has to learn how to use this retractable claw and stuff.
Okay, well then I walked in skipping a bunch of episodes.
Yeah. Almost every movie that they mention on the show, you see some kind of production on besides Head On, which is the one that starts the show. That's the pilot is the premiere for that movie. But yeah, almost every one besides that, even commercials Vince does or anything, you get on set time or at least behind the scenes or the negotiations. And this is just about getting more financing, which is it's not as interesting, but like I said, it's just as fun. I mean, the
Well,
whole
just
the whole gang's there. So
as far as just what the movie focuses on, that's the main thing, and yeah, that is the most interesting thing out of everything that's going on.
hmm
And also, I Billy Bob Thornton didn't not as
pretty
menacing
weird.
as I guess I would have liked,
No,
but Haley Joel Osment,
pretty good.
yeah, really good.
I mean, he followed. I mean, as far as I know, Tusk was his last thing before this,
Yeah, but here he
and
actually has more to do.
well, he's actually doing something, even though his Texas accent isn't that great. Speaking of Billy Bob, I'm pretty sure the only reason he's casting this, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Doug Ellen is writing
Bad
Bad Santa
Santa.
2.
Yeah,
So I'm pretty sure this had something to do with that. Yeah, I think it's a great experience. I think anyone that likes the show is going to like this film. And probably people that never watched the show at all. Like, it does a pretty good job setting up, as I said, with the Pierce Morgan segment. And just if you want to see lots of famous people on screen at once and you want to hear good music and you want to see good looking people that you don't know the names of and even more that you do, it's got it all. I
yeah.
mean, it's short, it's fun, it's a summer flick. It's not going to wow you, it's not going to make you think about anything.
No.
But there are a lot worse ways to do something like this, and this isn't one of them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely think it's a disposable piece of entertainment, but it is a fun watch, and the crowd that I was watching it with, they were really into it.
hmm
And a lot of them seemed like they were Entourage fans because they would just
Yeah.
cheer at random points, just at random things.
Yeah, there were a couple of, they're not even cameos, but like characters from the show that were thrown in for just a second, and it was like or great moments like that, or like recurring jokes or things like that of that nature. So it has payoffs for people that are longtime fans.
For fans
Um,
of the show, I definitely
hmm
I there were things that I recognized that I figured were fan service. I don't think we needed to see Lloyd's story for
No,
any reason
no,
whatsoever other than just I guess it's funny, I
no.
guess. I don't not really.
That
I
was
mean,
Lloyd being
it's
one of
just
the main characters, and they had to incorporate him some way because
I
otherwise,
guess. I mean,
like
it's
Debbie
just
Mazar, her character,
yeah.
she was done really well. That's the publicist.
Mhm.
Like because she was only a regular on the show for like the first 3 seasons, and she kind of got replaced by Lloyd. Uh, but I would have rather seen stuff like what was going on in Ari's old agency, or like his partner's cut out of it completely. Sloane's father, Terrence McEwick, who is played by oh man, what's his name? From Clockwork Orange and Caligula.
Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah, Malcolm McDowell. He's Sloane's father, and I don't know why he wasn't. This isn't a spoiler or anything, but Sloane's pregnant. Why he wasn't there for that?
I mean, it's a movie. There's a lot of stuff that they have to cram in, and
Yeah.
I guess it never, to its credit, it never felt like they were forcing this stuff down just to service it all to fans.
It seems like they were coming from the right place.
Yeah, I mean it is all well balanced for a single narrative, and I guess for an audience that's not familiar with the show, it's not going to polarize them in any way. It's able to it's easy to engage with it just on a very basic level, even though what's going on is not really that interesting, except for with art.
Yeah. I was reading some stuff. I believe it was the Hollywood Reporter that has this story up right now. I think it was the cover page. I mean, the cover story last month. Pretty interesting. It kind of goes in what's going behind the scenes on this film, because there was, 4 years isn't that long for a TV show to get a movie. I mean, it's about the same length it took for Sex and the City, but there was a big budget dispute because Jerry Piven was going to get way more money, and rightfully so, because he does, bring the energy, and he's the one that wins the awards, and he actually does stuff. Apparently, the other four, the actual Entourage, they kind of teamed up to get the money right, and then there's other things like Kevin Connolly broke his leg during filming, so they had to fix that, and then a couple other things. It was a long shoot for a pretty short movie, and I would like to see an extended version. I would have loved if this film was closer to 150 minutes, but then it probably would have overstayed its welcome. Bottom line, you want to have some fun at the movies, you like the show, even if you've never heard of the show, but the trailer looks fun, you're going to like it. It's worth your money.
Yeah, it's a decent flick. I mean, you could watch it in a theater, have fun. It's good entertainment if you're on an airplane and you got nothing to do and you just want to watch something and forget it, or Redbox it.
I would definitely Redbox this. Or, I mean, better yet, you got HBO Go. It'll be on there before no time. So thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with Jurassic World, and perhaps we'll have a co-host or two, a special guest. So you can find me on Twitter at Brian Gillis, also on Letterboxd, spelled the same way. There's links on the SoundCloud.
You can find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and if you want to follow my film viewing activity, you can find it at letterboxd.com/S_MTX, where I rate the movies I recently watch and occasionally write brief reviews.
Have a good one. We hope to see you soon.